Well, nearly 30 years after Jane Doe was found brutally murdered and abandoned on the side of a county road near Westby, the Vernon County Sheriff's Department is taking another look at the evidence.
And they're reaching out to the community to help solve this case. News 8's Pauline Lee joins us live with part 2 of our special series, Catching Her Killer, Justice for Jane Doe.
Well, in 1984, the time before computer technology and DNA testing, investigators did what they could to try and solve the case. Nearly 3 decades later, they are now more motivated than ever to crack the perfect murder.
Hi there.
Retired Vernon County Deputy Sheriff Jim Hansen spends a lot of time in his office at home. Pictures, awards, and accomplishments of his 4 decades of dedication to law enforcement fill the room, but boxes in the corner still remind him of unfinished work.
I don't care what anyone says. There's a certain amount of luck to criminal investigation. Sometimes the most insignificant little thing can lead to an end result that's positive. We keep, I think, hoping for that in this case. So.
Off Old Line Road, about 4 miles south of Westby, lies dark memories for Hansen.
You know, I can honestly say I've always thought of that. You know, when out in this part of the county, you know, I've always thought of that night.
And it's those memories that have driven Hansen's search for justice for nearly 30 years.
It's not a quest for me. You know, it is something that as I head into the 4th quarter, it would help me with some form of closure.
Hansen answered a call back in 1984 that still haunts him today. 3 teens had discovered a body of a woman brutally beaten and abandoned on the side of the country road. Both of her hands were cut off. In the coming days, Jane Doe's clothes, shoes, and dentures were all examined, but with DNA testing yet to fully develop and fingerprint science virtually impossible with missing hands, investigators say Jane Doe's killer just might have committed the perfect crime.
You relied in those days on police networks, teletype systems, the U.S. mail, and as that boundary, so to speak, blew out from Vernon County to Wisconsin, to Minnesota, to Iowa, then pretty soon the Midwest. She was matched to every missing person, female, in that age group, internationally.
Now, nearly 30 years and more than 400 tips later, Jane Doe's real identity still remains a mystery, but the Vernon County Sheriff's Department has never forgotten about her.
And something like this, you would want to have it closed because you know, someone's responsible for her death, you know, and it'd be great to at least identify that person, if not bring them to justice, for her sake, because there's no one out there fighting for her that we know of other than law enforcement right now.
Sheriff Spears and Hansen have been working together for more than 6 months to have all of the evidence re-examined. They're hoping today's technology can be used to provide more precise and updated information in the case, including her hair and eye color, weight, height, and age.
Today there's experts who can identify the clothing by the stitching, by the buttons, by the patterns. There's experts who can tell us maybe where these clothes came from or a time frame, and that's going to be important. Those are things that at the time were not available. Even identifying the dentures and the different things that we have as evidence, those are things that maybe now through technology somebody will take the time to look at it, compare it, and respond back.
Spears and Hansen are also planning to take the investigation to cyberspace, a tool they say opens up the case to a completely different world.
It's never been tried. You know, it's never been a big push like this with a lot of these, for lack of a better term, new things like Facebook and a lot of this stuff. You know, the social media of today is completely different than the social media 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And I think that we have to take advantage of that.
Spears and Hansen think today's technology and social media could hold the key to unlocking the secrets of Jane Doe's real story.
We all have our own identities, our own personalities, our own stories to tell, our own background. That's the mystery here, is we don't know who she is. We don't know anything about her, where she came from or what she did her whole life. We find out who she is. Again, that's going to open a lot of doors, and that's going to, I'm positive, is going to lead to a good suspect.
And finally find justice for Jane Doe.
She's not from Viroqua. She's not from Vernon County. You know, we're confident of that. So she needs to be taken home. You know, she needs to be returned to her home, wherever that may be. Everybody should go home. And everybody deserves to be treated like a human being and to have, when someone does them wrong, brought to justice.
Spears and Hansen have not worked alone on this case. They've had help from many different investigators and experts along the way, as well as the Wisconsin Department of Justice and the Division of Criminal Investigation Cold Case Unit. Now, this is the most up-to-date information we have on Jane Doe. Investigators say Jane Doe was in her 50s to mid-60s when she was found. She had brownish gray colored hair with blue eyes, and she was about 5.5 feet tall and weighed about 150 pounds.
And Pauline, I guess it's very important to point out that the anniversary of when she was found is coming up very soon too.
That's right. It's actually coming up this Friday, and in fact, investigators are actually holding an event tomorrow to officially launch her case into cyberspace with the social media, Facebook, and technology and things like that, just in time for her anniversary.
We can only hope that all this work will finally pay off, too.
Exactly. Hopefully the right lead will actually come up this time, and investigators will be able to close the case.
All right. Thanks very much, Pauline. Very interesting.
All right. Also, be sure to check out part 1 of Catching Her Killer, Justice for Jane Doe on our website at news8000.com.
And also, if you have any information on this case, you can call the Vernon County Sheriff's Department at this number, 608-637-2123.